So here we are with Mabel, aka Mabel the Table, Dean's lovely Dales mare, and June, my able assistant. So what we're going to talk about is, if Mabel can just stop eating for a second. I know it's hard, Meg. I know, we starve you. I know we do. Good girl. Anyway, so what we're going to talk about is common misconceptions when you're fitting this type of horse. So as you can see, Mabel is actually looking pretty trim for Mabel, but actually we've still got a loaded shoulder and we've still got lots of fat up here on the rump. Now, as you can see, is sometimes this can give the misconception that actually she's actually got a dippy back, which she hasn't. If we ask her to do a back lift, you're going to do a back lift for me, Mabes. So if you can see as she back lifts, good girl. Can you see how flat that is now, yeah? And the reason why it looks dippy is because there's a lot of fat here and a lot of fat here and a lot of fat on top of the shoulder, which is as came with lots and lots of natives. And like all natives, as you can see, she's not quite as soft as some I see, but you see you've got, this is all fat. It's not muscle. Because she doesn't really get ridden that much, does she? Because we're always on the road. So hopefully that makes sense, that actually when you get a flat back native, most natives actually have a flat back, even if they look a bit like a hammock. Ooh, good girl. So here we are again with Mabel, and if you come over here, June, and you take a video just down across her back, and she's standing nice and straight, so she will. Mabel. You can see she's actually quite wide, isn't she?
She is.
She is. So what I'm going to address and talk about is something that I read about on the internet all the time called the hoop tree. Now, I hear lots of people contact me and they say, oh, I'm told I need a hoop tree. So if you look at this is a Pony Saddle Company Tour. It's a little bit dusty because it's been on Mabel's back and she's a little bit dusty, but as you can see, it's got quite a high head. Beans as a hoop tree is something that just goes round like that, sits very, very low, very wide. And if we then put this on Mabel, if you come round and actually have a look from there, you can see that actually the pommel's actually sitting quite high on her. But the pommel is nowhere near the horse. So what's the difference between whether the tree does this, which makes it very wide between your legs and actually quite uncomfortable to ride in,
Yeah.
or up here, like we do, which actually gives you a seat. So it's actually a lot more comfortable.
Yeah.
So if I then put the weight in, you'll see what's actually sitting on the horse is actually the gussets. It's nothing to do with the pommel. So as long as the width from here to here is wide enough on the horse, it's going to fit. And I'll put weight in as much as I can. Of course, it's impossible for me to actually put in the weight of a rider, but we'll get you on in a minute, June, and we'll do that then. But as you can see, I can pull my hand down here with no, what we call grabbing. So if this was too narrow, which a lot of people would say because it's sitting up like this, it's too narrow, my hand would get stuck and I wouldn't be able to do this and it wouldn't be clean. So as you can see, I can pull my hand down there despite the fact that I've actually got quite a bit of weight from my other arm. If it's too wide, your hand tends to get stuck about here because when they're too wide, this sits too low. So it gets stuck too low. But anyway, let's get you on, June, and see, and then we can test it with you on.
Yep.
Right, so we've got June on board. So let's have a look at what the saddle looks like. I'm just going to go over this side because of the fact that I'm right-handed. It's just easier. I always use the right hand for this. So you can see now, yes, the pommel is still sat high. Doesn't look particularly different than it did when I had, earlier. That's because Mabel's quite firm. which is a surprise. She is. So actually, at the top of the gussets are at the top of her shoulder, which is where they were before.
Yeah.
So if I put my hand in, I can pull my hand down with no resistance, which means that actually she can engage the shoulder and move the shoulder back underneath.
Freely.
Because, of course, as we know, that's where the end of the tree is, where that gold nail head is. So this all moves out of the way, as you can see as I pull it, as Mabel moves. But it needs to be clean. If this was too wide and sat down here, it would be tight there and restrict her shoulder. And if it was too narrow and sitting up here, it would be very wobbly and all your weight would be in the back.
Right.
So again, see, completely clear. And those of you who've seen my video on how to check if your saddle's too wide, let's do a drop test. So hand in the front. If you could stand for me, please, June. Okay, and sit down again. And the drop is about 1/4 of a finger, because she's actually very firm. And that's a real surprise, because I didn't expect that, Mabel. You're definitely looking pretty good nowadays, girl. So if you wouldn't mind trotting up and down the lane for me, because the fields are very muddy, to say the least, and also full of horses.
Yeah.
So let's, or unless you want to try the back. Look,
It's easier in the lane.
let's go down the lane.
Yeah, and it's probably
Okay.
nicer on her feet as well.
So let's go down the lane.
Take it easy. Good girl. Yeah, we're going out again, my love. Yeah.
She's such a good girl.
She is. She really is a good girl.
Mabel's a complete star. And we got Mabel for Dean from Zana at Great All Rounders, who breeds Dale's ponies and also sources ponies for other people. And Zana's really, really good at matching ponies with people. And obviously Mabel, who is, I think, as close to bomb-proof as you're ever going to get, is actually a fantastic horse for Dean, because we really can't have Dean broken nowadays, because I think it would cause a major problem for the business. So after Dean's warm blood retired, and she's now got Mabel. Right, so June's going to take Mabel down and then trot her back, so you can see the stability of the saddle in rising trot, which is how we normally test when we do a saddle fit for someone. Right, so I'm going to wait here, June, and wait for you to come past. Turning Mabel's a bit like she's a bit like turning a battleship, isn't it?
Trot. Trot. Good gal. Trotting. Good gal.
Was she saying she might like a canter today, Mum?
She's feeling like a really girl.
She's such a good girl, and for a native, she's so forward going. So, so there you have it. Why, if you have a very wide native, you don't need a hoop tree unless you want something that looks really flat on the wither. And of course it suits the shape of some people's pelvises as well, if they want something that's very wide through the twist. Cool, thanks for listening.